The gardener faces a constant battle against time.
本当は僕らこれ取材を受けたくないんですよ。影の存在なんですよ、本当は。
Their work requires an unimaginable attention to detail.
おい、中入れよ。なんでぼやぼやしろよ、お前。
A five-man team, this is their work. The Japanese garden at the Adachi Museum of Art. It's one of the most acclaimed gardens in the country, topping the rankings of a specialized magazine every year. The garden at the Katsura Imperial Villa in Kyoto also consistently sits near the top of the rankings. It has been cared for by imperial gardeners for 400 years. From the master to the apprentice, the court gardening techniques have been handed down for generations. The gardens are particularly beautiful when bathed in autumn colors. This is the story of the people working behind the scenes to maintain the timeless beauty of Japanese gardens. Nearly 500,000 people a year flock to a small town in Shimane Prefecture for one attraction. The Adachi Museum of Art is known for its extensive collection of Japanese paintings. But that's not the only thing the museum has to offer.
#1 Japanese garden.
Visitors can take in the museum's stunning garden through panoramic windows. This view places the garden in a frame, as if it were one of the paintings in the collection. NHK received special permission to film the garden in its entirety. We start off in the moss garden. The green moss contrasts beautifully with the white sand. In the fall, the surrounding foliage adds brilliant color. As we go further, the Kare-sansui, or dry landscape garden, unfolds before us. It depicts the harmony between the mountains and rivers, without using water. The upright rocks are towering peaks, while the white sand is clear water flowing down the ocean. We then move on to the white gravel and pine garden. This section was modeled after Japanese painter Yokoyama Taikan's portrayal of an ideal coastal landscape. The exquisite positioning of the waterfall. In fact, it's a man-made creation, said to be inspired by Taikan's painting. Adachi Zenko. He was the founder of the garden and a passionate collector of Taikan's work. In 1970, he set out to recreate the world of Taikan's art in nature. This landscape is Adachi's harmony. The garden appears to extend all the way to the foot of the mountains. But in fact, it ends here. Then there's a road along which a forest known as the Second Garden has been planted. This forest is like a stage design, concealing the road and field behind it. The man-made garden blends with the mountains to form a dazzling panorama of nature. Adachi Zenko was also the one who came up with the idea of viewing the garden through a frame, as if it were a painting. In the back of the museum is the pond garden. Nishikigo carp add a touch of color. A US magazine has rated the garden the best in Japan every year since 2003. This reputation is maintained by the museum's own landscaping team, the Garden's Protectors. They learned their techniques at local schools and have been honing their skills here ever since. NHK followed the gardening team for 1 year, starting in November of 2022. Kobayashi Nobuhiko was the head gardener at the time. He was responsible for maintaining the garden's spot at the top of the rankings. One morning, just a few days before his retirement,
すごいね。これ大変今日は。ちょっと汚すぎてね、こうなると。
a sudden storm scattered maple leaves all over the garden the night before. Nature is fickle and occasionally likes to make mischief. Museum director Adachi Takanori is the founder's grandson.
30分の間にきれいになるからね。あ、そうですか。もう全部入って庭さんがね、うちの管理のシステムがすごいだから。
Cleanup begins at 7:30. The team has to restore the garden to its perfect state before the museum opens at 9. It's a tall order, even for these miracle workers.
ちょっと邪魔ですよ。すいません。今日はちょっとやばいですよ。ちょっと時間がないんで、本当に。本当すみません。邪魔はしないでください。あ、わかりました。本当に。
This is Nagashima Tatsuji. He'll be in charge of the team after Kobayashi retires. He graduated from a local agricultural school and has 30 years of experience. He works fast. They say gardening starts and ends with cleaning. The team can't miss a single leaf and can never cut corners. Their attention to detail is put to the test every day. Less than 90 minutes since they started. They've cleaned the whole garden, the size of 2 soccer fields.
ゴミ一つ、塵一つ落ちてない感じですごく綺麗。枯れ葉が落ちてないのがもう不思議なぐらい。
Without stopping for a break, the gardeners move on to the mountain that forms a part of the natural panorama. The man-made waterfall is far in the back. One by one, they remove plants blocking the view. They believe the ideal Japanese garden demands the constant pursuit of perfection.
なんかちょっとピリピリしててすみません。うちらも忙しいもんでやっぱり、はい、お客さん一番なんですいませんけど。
A few days later, Kobayashi retires and Nagashima takes over as the leader. The first thing on his agenda, pruning about 2,000 trees in preparation for the fall. The Best in Japan rankings have helped attract lots of visitors to the museum. Every year, the gardening team feels more pressure to keep up this record.
ランキングのためにやってるわけじゃないです。僕らは今日来られたお客さんのためにしてますので、まあでももう20年も来ちゃいましたよね。頑張るしかないんで。
Sukiya Living is the U.S. magazine behind the ranking. Its office is located in the middle of a forest in the state of Maine.
Oh, hi. My name's Douglas. Douglas Roth. This is Tamao Goda. Yeah. This is our office in here. We publish this magazine, and we've been doing it for 25 years.
Douglas first went to Japan as a U.S. naval officer 40 years ago. He was captivated by the beauty of the gardens and launched the magazine in 1998. It now has subscribers in 37 countries and regions. Douglas regularly holds workshops where he teaches Japanese pruning methods.
There's some nature that's not so great, you know, like it's yucky and there's a lot of mosquitoes and muddy or whatever. There's plenty of nature that's not great, but the nature you try to evoke in the Sukiya-style garden is special. It makes the human feel like they feel safe and nourished. Yeah.
He wants to spread the philosophy that undergirds all Japanese gardens, that a human touch can make nature even more vibrant.
Foliage on, like, just on the outside. So you're basically trimming everything, like all of these guys. Like
No, I would never do it.
You would
I
never
leave
do that.
Everything, all the small bare branches, seen.
Okay.
The ranking, published every December, is one of the magazine's most popular features. Douglas started it in 2003 as a way to evaluate Japanese gardens around the world. Dozens of experts selected from the readers take part in the judging process.
So this is an example of one person's list.
A judge from Israel has rated over 100 gardens. First place is worth 100 points, second, 99. The gardens are ranked by their total scores. One of the judges, Pavel Chihal, runs a gardening business in the Czech Republic. He helps restore a garden in Prague deemed a World Heritage Site. He also designed the Japanese garden in his home.
Kary Samsuj lemuje ty velký valy a kameny. Hodně si ceníme starý borovice, která má 75 let, ale je stejně dominantní v té zahradě jako ta velká stará.
He fell in love with gardens when he went to Japan 30 years ago. He has since visited more than 250 with his wife. He was fascinated by the Japanese approach to nature.
Jedinečnost japonských zahrad je určitě v té přenešení scenérii z přírody do malého prostoru. Je tam daleko víc kultivárů a druhů těch stromů. V těch japonských zahradách se tam samozřejmě vychází z tolerovaných borovic a zelek a spíš se pracuje s kamenama s vodním prvkem. Vždycky pak jako je to jakoby meditační zahrady, kde se člověk opravdu více uklidní a větší prostor na své myšlenky, než v tom parku, kde si vlastně...
Katsura Imperial Villa in Kyoto. It exemplifies the pursuit of harmony between nature and art. The villa was built for the imperial family in the early 17th century. Some 400 years later, it's still standing in all its original glory.
I'm going to talk about the brief history of the Katsura Imperial Villa.
The garden is known around the world as a masterpiece and consistently ranks second only to the Adachi Museum. quick walk through the villa reveals its charms and appeal. Near the entrance, pine trees and hedges block the view. Cross a small bridge and there's a glimpse of water on the right. But the view is once again hidden. Finally, a sweeping scene emerges. It's often compared to a view of the ocean. In the distance, there's a study. The further in that you venture, the more that unfolds before you. This panorama, with its stunning depth of detail, has been crafted over 400 years.
I think that feeling, you could come here 100 times and have a different experience. Each view. I would love to come back and spend many days.
Yeah, it's most important. Typical is time. You can feel the time from the trees, from every single stone, paving, the water. It's all old, but it's very modern.
Kamei Yusuke is the head gardener at Katsura Imperial Villa. He was hired by the Imperial Household Agency. He's been a gardener for 15 years. Due to government regulations, the landscaping company working on the garden changes every year.
この米があれば力の強いやつは取ってください。はいはいはい。
Kamei's job is to train the new gardeners who switch out every year. This is Kamei's apprentice, Tominaga Shunpei, 24 years old. He's in his 6th year with the Imperial Household Agency. Each apprentice works one-on-one with a master to learn the court gardening techniques handed down over 400 years.
頭なるべく力の強いね、結構目立ってきよるし、取れるんやったら取っといた方がいいかもしれない。とりあえず今ある形をその後世に残すっていうのが一番大きな課題といいますか大事な部分だとは思ってますので、なのでその勝手に職員が手を加えて好きなように庭を作るっていうのはもうそれはもうご法度だと先輩方からも教えていただいてますので、今ある姿を、きっちり維持できるように、常々心がけてはいます。
But fulfilling that mission is becoming increasingly difficult. Moss has been disappearing from the garden in recent years.
本来ならこのハイゴケの緑が全面あったんですけれども、今なくなってこの辺りはない状態なんです。
As a remedy, Kamei and his colleagues transplant cultured moss as necessary. Katsura Imperial Villa isn't the only place seeing changes to its moss. Research by Professor Oishi Yoshitaka of Fukui Prefectural University shows that of 20 moss gardens in Kyoto, 14 have experienced disappearing moss and other damage.
左側が1970年ぐらいの苔庭の写真、右側が現在です。見れば一目瞭然ですけれども、苔が減っています。あるいは以前生えていた種が別の種に置き換わっている。
The main reason is believed to be the heat island effect caused by urbanization. Average temperatures in Kyoto have risen 1.4 degrees in 50 years.
これ赤いのは何なんですか？
これは苔が枯れているところです。
枯れてしまってるんですか？
はい。苔を庭に使うというのは日本の文化です。ですので、京都の苔庭から苔が消える。これは日本の文化の大きな損失と言っても過言ではないと思っています。
Adachi Museum in midwinter. Many visitors think the blanket of white adds elegance, but it can complicate things for the gardeners. Unexpected snowfall can completely cover up their work.
いやー、びっくりしました。庭の中がね、こんだけ積もったのは本当に初めてです。こういう景色は。何がないさっぱり分からへんちゃう。
The gardeners protect the trees from snow during winter, so they can eventually light up in color in the fall. If the pine branches break under the weight of the snow, they will not grow back. There's about 50 centimeters of snow. At this rate, the soft shrubs will be crushed and may not bloom in the spring. The snow is relentless.
これだけ太ももや。これきついな。おい、棒持ってるの中入れや。なんでぼやぼやしようよ、お前。全部揺せるぞ。松を。松の方が怪しくなってきた。
The gardeners ruin the pristine layer of snow as they work. It doesn't look as nice, but they have to protect the trees. For the gardeners, working in the snow presents a dilemma. When they enter the garden, they leave footprints, a sign of their intrusion. They must retrace their steps and carefully cover their tracks. The team thought they had done a perfect job. But the snow on top has melted, exposing the footprints they had tried to conceal.
こういう感じになるんですよ、やっぱ。まあしょうがないですけど、自然相手なんでどうしようもないですけど。
When spring comes, the azaleas bloom in beautiful color. All the hard work in winter was worth it. Spring is also the time to take care of the carp. The gardeners check their skin and apply medication as needed. Five in the morning. It's time to prune the trees. Approximately 2,000 must be tended to ahead of the fall. The team starts off with 60 small but stately Japanese black pines. The gardeners don't use scissors to work. They use their fingers. They break off all the buds that have emerged. A slow-motion look shows their process. They pick the buds, then crush them with their nails. The buds will grow back and have to be pruned again in the fall. But by cutting them in the spring, the gardeners keep the pines to a compact size.
Hey.
What's on their minds as they do their work?
お客さんのためにどれほど自分が頑張れるか、まあ、そのために朝早く来て自分たちが手入れしたのを見てもらいたい、はい、手入れした掃除したちゃんと大きなメモ入れたい、はい、それを見てもらいたいためですよね。それで僕らを評価してもらいたいっていうわけじゃないです。はい、それが足立美術館なんだよっていうのを見てもらいたい。だから本当は僕らこれ取材を受けたくないんですよ。影の存在なんですよ本当は。
Working in the shadows. Once the flowers fall, the shrubs have to be pruned. The team uses large shears to cut them into dome-like shapes. Nita Shinichi specializes in maintaining these spheres. He has to cut carefully, or the surface will become uneven. It looks very clean, but too much cutting could make it seem unnatural. Why does the shrub have to be so round?
いや、石が自然の感じなんで、そこでこのラインですよね。ラインが出てると綺麗じゃないですか、やっぱ。
Near every shrub, there are always large stones. The man-made roundness of the shrubs and the natural shape of the stones. They complement each other perfectly. The gardeners at Katsura Imperial Villa use a different technique for pruning. There's a distinct lack of spherical plants in this garden. Kamei trims the azalea shrubs into natural-looking shapes. The goal is for the shrubs to still look untouched after he finishes. But the layering of the branches and leaves must be neat enough to see through. This technique is called goshozukashi. It's been passed down through generations of court gardeners. Why do they prefer this method? The main attraction at Katsura Imperial Villa are buildings. The trees and shrubs should complement them. The goshozukashi technique allows the surroundings to emphasize the qualities of these man-made structures. It turns out there's more than one way to create harmony between nature and art. The apprentice, Tominaga, is struggling to learn goshozukashi.
悪くないですか、出来は。
いやー、あんまり良くないですね。
あんまり良くない。
はい。あんま抜けてないですもんね。
抜けてない。
はい。いや、立ってる枝とかあんまり抜けて見えないじゃないですか。亀井さんとかに比べたら。もうちょいうまいやり方があると思うんですけどね。今の俺ではこんな感じが限界なんで。
そうですか。
バッチリ。
いいえ。
いいえ。枯れ枝とかはな、取った方がいいな。この辺も全部枯れてるんで。
富永さんどういう判断なんですか。
忘れてただけですね。はい。
Mist has shrouded the mountains behind the Adachi Museum. The scene evokes a painting by Yokoyama Taikan, Mountain After a Shower. He captured all the depth and texture of the moments following rainfall using only black ink. It's as if Adachi Zenko made this garden because he knew it would mirror the artist's world. July, near the end of the rainy season. Over the next 2 months, the gardeners at the Adachi Museum will prune 800 red pines and other tall trees. The first day of pruning is a seasonal tradition and covered by local media. First, the red pines near the building closest to the visitors. They are each tended to by one gardener. Pruning red pines is crucial for crafting a landscape that blends with the mountains. For the ones closest to visitors, the gardeners comb out the leaves so the sky and mountains can be seen through them. And for the more distant pines, the gardeners keep the leaves closer together to make the trees seem more dense. This helps the pines blend with the mountains and create more shades of green. The blue sky suddenly gives way to downpours. Wet tree banks are slippery and dangerous. Sticky leaves are hard to comb. Yamamoto Yusuke, in his 6th year on the job, is having trouble pruning in these conditions. His tree is slightly denser than the next one over, which is being tended to by a more experienced gardener. From a different angle, Yamamoto can tell that his pine still looks dense. But when he climbs back up and buries himself in the leaves and branches, he loses sight of where to prune. The weather is getting worse. The gardeners are interrupted. They have to battle the winds of nature while pursuing beauty. Late July, a hot and humid time in Japan. The gardeners reach the final stage of the pruning work. Visitors are now watching on. The full splendor of the red pines is out for everyone to see, thanks to the gardeners. In August, they will start pruning in the planting zone. When they finish this work, it will mean fall is just around the corner. In October, the Katsura Imperial Villa hosts a special event, the annual moon viewing party held in the garden. Kamei and Tominaga are preparing for the arrival of about 60 visitors chosen by lottery. They replace the fences along the road with new bamboo. The party will be held in the dark of night. Will anyone notice the new fences? A matter of feeling. That's a phrase repeated in many of Japan's industries, including manufacturing and service. Don't cut corners, even if the customer won't notice. All the work must be done properly. This relentless pride was a crucial part of Japan's rise to prosperity. Kamei heads to a building made specially for the moon viewing. He stands where a visitor would and gives instructions for pruning a nearby tree. Branches can block the view of the moon at certain times.
すみません、今切ってあった枝、それってね、元から取れますか?
The gardeners track the moon's orbit so they know where to cut to open up a perfect view. But they don't want to ruin the shape of the trees either. They prepare meticulously to ensure the visitors are satisfied. The day of the party. It's raining, making it difficult to walk on the path. But the fresh bamboo in the fences is still glossy and reflects the light from the lanterns, It helps the visitors see where they're going. The moon appears between the clouds. The entire garden is bathed in its light. The visitors may not notice, but evidence of the gardener's careful work is everywhere. "5 a.m. The team at the Adachi Museum is about to start the final pruning of the black pines. When this is done, the garden will be ready for fall foliage season. They pluck the old leaves from the spring and prune 2 new shoots into a V shape. They remove all remaining buds to shape the trees. The gardener's dedication and craft makes us consider the meaning of work. What does it mean to work? Every year, they are faced with trees that have completely changed during the passing seasons. And yet, they still manage to create a garden that steals the hearts of visitors over and over again. That's the human touch. Nothing comes close to replicating it. The gardeners check the pines from different angles and keep making adjustments. It's as if they don't want the year's pruning work to end.
もう一つなんかな出てるのここにそれだそれいい感じだ
This pine is pruned to look like a samurai. Every tree in the garden has been pruned. Nature provides the finishing touches on the garden. The colors of 800 red pines create a dazzling transition toward the mountains. The visitor's praise isn't reserved just for the garden itself.
見えないけど庭さんすごい頑張ってます。庭さんがすごいですよ。
これに携わる人がね、すごいな。手入れが大変ですよね。
The visitors feel the presence of the people working in the shadows.
I think a perfect illusion of gardens.
Perfect.
Nature provides an unexpected touch of color. For just a few minutes, perfect harmony between human skill and natural splendor. On December 2nd, the garden's first ranking under Nagashima's leadership was announced.
すごい。
Nagashima overcame the everyday pressures of being the new head gardener. His hard work and leadership helped the garden secure the #1 spot for the 21st year in a row.
ありがとうございました。
おめでとうございます。はい、いいね。みんな集合。ランキング発表ありました。はい。連続来ました。はい。おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。もうよかったですね。
みんなのおかげで結果が出たらね、みんなもどんどんやる気が出るし、まあ来年再来年頑張っていきましょう。はい。はい。じゃあまず仕事しましょう。はい。
The short foliage season is over, and a new year is approaching. The gardeners have once again embarked on a year-long journey, creating a garden that captivates the world.